This week's episode of Talking to Mod is sponsored by the Coffee Mod. Don't just dress like an ace face, drink like one too. They're also giving our listeners 15% off when you use the promo code MAGICMOD15. So what are you waiting for? How are we doing, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Talking to Mod. This week we've got legendary bass player from the Specials, Horace Panter. Not only is he a member of one of my favourite bands, but he's also an incredible artist as well. I'm not even going to talk anymore, let's just get on with it. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax and enjoy episode 22 of Talking to Mod.
Oh, get on that.
Ben, are you receiving me?
Loud and clear, sir.
All right, thank you, honey. Well, okay, let me go to some. Now, how do we do this?
We just talk absolute rubbish, mate, for about half an hour, 25 minutes.
Okay.
Cool. That's it. What, you in the library now, are you?
Yes, just a second. I'll shut the door. Well, it used to be the kitchen, but we kind of moved the house around. It's kind of nice. Look, there's like all that sort of stuff. I've got one of those tune tables, you know, the
Brilliant
CD thingy-jigs.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that on your Twitter, man. They look unbelievable.
It's just like a flight case. It's good, and all the stereo businesses up there.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
So it's a kind of a library.
It looks
good.
Good, man. I love it. Honestly, like we've got a room where it's nothing like that, mate. I mean, I've probably got about 10 or 20 books in there and I think I'm intelligent, you know what I mean? Right. But I need to branch out more and get some more books in there. But
you can never have too many books. Well, you can actually, yeah.
Since lockdown, I read as much as I can, especially like old magic books, and I'm talking about magic books like in the 1800s and like some of the earlier books you can get, but the way they've done it is it's hard to sort of understand the English. So they've done like remakes of it, but the early editions are worth a fortune, man. But it's all good,
and
man.
I understand you've just been accepted into the Magic Circle, the UK Magic Circle.
That's it, yeah. Like the most.
Congratulations are in order, I think. Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I mean, there's like less than, I was surprised. I thought there was quite a few thousand members, but there's less than 2,000 members. Right. And to say that I'm in that, I mean, my whole family are proud of that. My girlfriend, everyone's proud of that. And
I think so too.
I'm absolutely buzzing, man.
That's brilliant. Well done.
But how are you anyway, my friend? You're looking well.
Okay. I have very little to complain about. Hey, I'm still here. You know, yeah, that's... which is pretty good. No, I'm playing music. I'm painting pictures. I'm kind of busy. Couple of years ago, I was handed a granddaughter, and that has changed my life considerably. So I'm around for childcare, but just being there as this little thing is growing up is quite amazing. So that's an added plus, I think. Yeah. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
Good. I mean, kids, similar. When was your granddaughter born?
It's 2.5 years ago, whenever that is now. It's 20. Yeah. 21, something like that, yeah.
My little boy Lonnie is 2, and he's got like, everyone kept on telling us about this the terrible twos, and we were like, what's all this? Oh my word, it is a thing. I'm telling you, like,
right.
He's into all sorts at the moment, literally. Yeah. But it's madness.
It's lovely seeing sort of language develop, and you know, and being recognised as granddad and all that kind of stuff is really cool. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, Ben, but it hit me right between the eyes. It's great. I really love it.
Love that. What a beautiful moment, and that's just life, isn't it? When it comes when you least expect it, and brings in beautiful moments like that.
Yeah,
But you mentioned about your art, and I know I mean, we followed each other for years and met
man.
each other a few times, and I know you are a very, very good artist, Horace. And let's touch up about that, mate. I mean, because a lot of musicians do a bit of art as well. Is it like your way of relaxing?
Art is my solo album, if you know what I mean. I mean, musically, I'm a team player. I've got to work with a drummer, keyboard player, guitarist, singer, or whatever. So I'm part of a team when I play music. But the art works or doesn't work by my efforts alone. You know what I mean? That's like I have control of that, and so that's how I sort of um, that's how I rationalize it. Yeah, they're both very separate, but I get as and the enjoyment you get out of playing music is different from the enjoyment you get out of art. You know immediately if you're playing music whether it's working. People throw things or don't clap or whatever. You know what I mean? But there's an instant reaction. Whereas the art, it's a lot more. It takes a bit more time, and it's a different kind of satisfaction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yes.
100%,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I did a gig quite a while ago in Coventry, and it's the Empire, isn't it?
Mhm.
It was being done up, and it had some of your artwork. Or did you were quite involved in that, weren't you? Doing all the
Um,
paintings.
what they did, the guy who owns the place asked me to paint a picture of the old empire before it was knocked down. Um, so I did, and it had like these sort of billboards at the front with like who was
That's it.
playing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So what I did, I thought, I tell you what, I'll take those billboard names off and I'll say anybody who wants a piece of work, I'll do it for them, and we'll put your favourite band on the billboard or the gig that you went to that you remember. Um, so I did that, and I did a run of probably about 30 or 40 pictures for people who, but the guy who ran the place, he got that and he blew it up massive, and he put it over the front of the new Empire, which is probably where you were, and when they were doing it up. So yeah, it's been a good relationship with them. 'Cause it used to be, I've known the old place forever. It used to be a cinema, then it was a pool hall, and then it was this club. Yeah,
I've
because I wouldn't say grew up. I went to college. In it, it's that part of town, so I lived that side of town. I was always in walking distance to the art college, and I would walk past that building, twice a day for like for 3 years. So it's it was my neck of the woods when I was a student.
have you got a favourite piece of art that you've ever done?
Ooh, crikey! Yes, hang on a minute.
You brought your own props.
No, it was I stuck it up on the wall this the other day. I like this at the moment. Now, that's rather nice. You see
That's
that?
mega. Yeah, yeah, that's
That's
beautiful.
that. That's my wife standing on St Andrew's Beach in Scotland, sort of looking out into the grey sea, and I really like it. It's kind of melancholy, but I know who it is, and I know what she was thinking about when I took the photo. You know what I mean? It was so it's a kind it's a cool thing.
That's a really. How long
Do
did
you
that
want to
take you
see?
to
Do you
do?
have you got a minute?
Of
Do you want
course.
to see the coolest piece of art that I've got?
Go
Like,
on. Yeah, let's have
give me
some of
give me
that.
give me a second. I won't be long.
I wonder what it's going to be. Here we go. Wasn't expecting this. We're getting a free art show here. What a lovely thing to do. That was a lovely painting, though, of his wife. Really did like that.
Okay, I've got it.
Oh,
Right.
that was quick.
It's not too far away. There aren't too many people know that I've got this, but this is me and my wife on the sofa with The Simpsons,
That is mega.
drawn by Eric Keyes, who's a buddy of mine who I met over in Los Angeles because he's one of the illustrators on The Simpsons. Can you see it? All right.
I can. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
that is incredible.
So that's really. I just think so. Which kind of, yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Art's a big deal for me these days. Yeah, well, it always was, but since since I established the art career, it's a big thing.
After this, you're going to have to go and put them two pictures back up, or the missus
That's
will have a
okay. It
go
won't
at you.
take long. I know where they go.
I mean, I tried art. I'll be honest with you. I did try a little bit of art because now and then I tried to find like a space where I could relax when I'm not doing the shows, and I would pick up and try and just draw like portraits of magicians and that. But I just couldn't get the hang
Right.
of it. I really couldn't. So then I went into a bit of like just writing poems, and I come up with a few, but I'm just going to stick to the
Right.
magic.
Yeah. But I think it was. I think it's good to have an outlet to sort of an alternative creative outlet. I don't know. I find that, but this one has got a little bit higher prominence, shall we say, insofar as I can make money from it.
Well, you're
So
fantastic at it, so keep it up, mate. And I mean that.
thank you.
You're more than welcome. So we've gone from one of your loves. Let's go to the other one of your loves, music. Now, how did you get involved in music, mate?
I heard it. I heard it on the radio. Every Sunday morning, my father would put a big stack of long-playing gramophone records on the radiogram and turn it up really loud to get us out of bed on a Sunday morning. So I was brought up with listening to, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all this kind of stuff. My mother bought the first Beatles album. So I remember listening to that and thinking there was this song called Roll Over Beethoven that
Yes.
was written by this bloke called C. Berry, who wasn't one of the Beatles. And I didn't know who on earth C. Berry was, but I thought that song was brilliant. was really good. So it just sort of went on from there. We had a transistor radio. That was incredible. You could walk around with music. You know what I mean? You could carry it around. You didn't have to plug it in. It was great. It was, I suppose, the equivalent of like a Walkman, but like in 1963 or something. And then the pirate radio stations came on the air. 65, 66, and they were over by 67. But that was tremendous because before then, you know this, don't you? Before then, you couldn't hear. You had like sort of half an hour of pop music a day on the light program on BBC. But then with the pirate stations, you could hear music all day, and and so it was just such an education for me, as it was for loads of kids in England at that time. And I think that was as much of a kickstarter to the swinging 60s as anything, those pirate radio stations. Radio London was my weapon of choice. 266 on the medium wave. Yeah. No, but that was where like Tony Blackburn and John Peel and people like that started.
Yeah, the big,
No,
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
It's called Tony Blackburn used to be the president of the UK Tamla Motown Appreciation Society. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Cool.
Amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it, music? I mean, the
But yeah,
thing
that
about,
was it, and I just got hooked. And I had my parents bought me a little crappy Spanish guitar when I was like 11. I couldn't play it, but I could stand in front of a full-length mirror and look pretty cool. So so I took it from there, and of course, as I couldn't play the six-string guitar, I thought, well, perhaps I could play a bass instead because it's only one string at a time, and it's not, you don't have to bar chords, all that sort of business. So yeah, so it went from there, really. Yeah.
you saying that about standing in front of a mirror is just brung me back a flashback of when my mum and dad bought me a guitar, and I tried and tried. I couldn't do it, but I had like a mirror wardrobe in my bedroom,
Yeah. Me
and I
too.
used to put it on,
Yeah.
and I used to play Setting Suns by the Jam, and I
Yeah.
used to just think I was Paul Weller.
Yeah. And you looked great, didn't you? You were there.
In my own head, I looked
Yeah.
good, but
Yeah.
I remember it's always one of them ones where as soon as you hear your mum or your parents walking up the stairs, you quickly take it off, turn the music off, and act like nothing's happening.
I'm reading a book. Yeah.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
So, do you remember? Here's one that's going to jog your memory. Now, what is the first ever album you ever went out and bought?
Oh God. Freak Out by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, because they just looked like these scary dudes on the cover. And it was at Alf Bailey's record shop in Gold Street in Kettering. And I brought it home and I put it on the record player and I hated it. I just thought, what is this? I've, I tried my best, but it's like, oh, I can't get on with this at all. So, it wasn't something amazing, you know what I mean? I'm afraid it was a real sort of damp squib. I kind of got into Zappa about sort of 10 years later, but it was kind of, that's always been this kind of stuck in my throat, the fact that I bought this album and I didn't like it. I didn't tell anybody that I didn't like it because that would be really uncool, to say that I didn't, but I really didn't like it. The second one was the first Fleetwood Mac album, the one with the dog and the dustbin, and I've still got that. I played it last night actually. I've been now I've re-established my vinyl collection. I just thought I'd trawl through it, and I picked it out, and it still sounded great. Yeah, so that was the first. They were the first albums I bought.
You just can't beat vinyl. I mean, in Belfast we have quite a few vinyl shops, and I regularly go in there, and you can find some absolute gems now and then, and even in charity shops as well. I've got some amazing vinyls in charity shops sometimes. Like some of the early like Bad Manners, Madness. I've got a lot of Jam singles in there. For like £1. You're laughing, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in Leamington, which is I suppose my nearest big town. There's a real good second-hand shop, second-hand emporium that goes on for miles. But I kind of get I get to like G, and then go. Perhaps next time I go in, I'll start at Z and work backwards.
Your way down.
Yeah.
That's it. I remember now. Because I was in. Where was I? I was in Stratford upon Avon. I did a show, and then I remember you. I think you put a message underneath saying you weren't too far from there.
That's right. Yeah, I live just outside Warwick. Yeah.
That was the first time I've ever been to Stratford, and what a beautiful place.
It's nice. It's good. Yeah.
Stunning, absolutely stunning. And I think we went to. Where did we go? Oh, that's the time. The day after is the one where we stayed in Coventry after, and that's when I saw the Empire and a bit of your artwork. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So the best thing about talking about music is, Horace, is it could take you anywhere. I mean, you could go and meet anyone, and as soon as you got that sort of connection, if you listen to the same album, you could talk for hours, sometimes days, and you feel like you know the person. But I want to know, what was your first ever gig you went to yourself? Not performed, went to and saw someone.
The first professional band I ever saw, me and my friend Anthony Larkham, I think I was 15, and we got tickets to there was this series of concerts at the Royal Albert Hall called the Pop Proms. I think it was 1969, I don't know. And I saw Blodwyn Pig, the Liverpool Scene, and Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
And it blew my mind is a kind of a catch-all phrase but I was not the same afterwards. I was 15. B, I lived in this little sleepy market town in Northamptonshire, and C, I had never heard anything so loud in my life. I mean, it's probably nothing compared to the noise that the Specials made, like 30 years later. But bloody hell. It was quite something. So that and that was it really.
What a gig to go to though.
Yeah.
The first one. I mean,
very impressive.
geez,
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. It's safe to say that left a lasting impression on your life and left you. I mean, brilliant, man, brilliant. But we're going to come on to the Specials in a minute. But growing up, you've mentioned some timeless names there, what you were listening to as a youngster. But was there anyone who you was really inspired by, who really, like a hero? Like, I mean, for me, growing up, it wasn't a magician. It was actually Paul Weller and Liam Gallagher. Do you know what I mean? But, they sort of led me into this path. But what about yourself?
I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, in terms of musicians, I suppose Andy Fraser, who was the bass player in Free. I loved Free. They were kids. They weren't that much older than me. Still aren't. And they were All Right Now was brilliant. That was the first single I ever got drunk to. You know, um, I just thought it was great. It was so good, and I really liked them. They were just a great, really funky little group. Um, I don't know. I don't think there was any one person. You know, I mean, everybody. You know, when Jimi Hendrix came along, you know, it was like
Mm,
Gordon. That was different, you know, and all this sort of stuff. But I don't think there was any sort of one sort of person. But my musical taste started to change the older I get. I got more sort of Catholic, shall we say, because I started getting into soul music. You know, why was it that I wanted to dance when the Four Tops and the Supremes came on, whereas when the DJ put Pickety Witch or Love Affair, I wasn't that bothered. You know what I mean? It was, and I never sort of figured that out. Other than there was something about that music that just made me want to get up and. You know, I hate weddings. I don't like going to any kind of formal gatherings. I really, you know, where you have to dress up and that sort of stuff. I really dislike. But if you want me to dance, all you have to do is put on Roadrunner by Junior Walker and the All Stars,
brilliant,
and I'm there. And
brilliant.
I am, you know, dad dancing like it, you know. It's fantastic, you know. But I just sort of, and I really sort of started to get into that sort of music, that and Booker T and the MGs, you know, Green Everyone's
Oh,
Time is Dead, blah
brilliant,
blah 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 blah, you
brilliant.
know. And that was and especially Booker T and the MGs, because that bass line didn't sound that difficult, you know. So that was an in for me musically. So do you see
Yes,
what I mean? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's some of the names you reeled off there, though. Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. So here's the moment people have all been waiting for. Look, I've got my shirt on as well. Look, how
Uh-huh.
about that? Yeah, I have to get you a Magic Mod one.
Thank you.
So, how did it all start out, mate, with the specials?
Jerry Dammers started the same art course as me. The year below me. I started in '72. He started in '73. So we knew of one another. He knew I played a bass guitar. I knew he played piano, and that was that really. I graduated in '75. He graduated a year later in '76, and he called me, and because he saw me playing in like this club band, so you know, and he presumably liked what I played on the bass guitar, and he says, "I'm trying to get this group together. I'm going to play this kind of reggae type music," and I'm like, I don't know how to play reggae, but I'll give it a go." And that's where it started. And then he said, "Come along to a rehearsal, and I'll introduce you to a couple of other people." So I met Linval Golding, and Silverton Hutchinson, who was the first Specials drummer. He was with us for a couple of 3 years, and we had this singer bloke called Tim, and we rehearsed these songs, which were kind of reggae-ish, and sort of funk sort of stuff. I had difficulty with reggae, but Linval very kindly he came round to my flat with Desmond Brown, who was the keyboard player in the Selector, and I had reggae lessons. You know, like the bass go off, and I'm like, what? Because I didn't have a particularly big sound system at all, so it was difficult. You have to turn it. I don't know. Don't play it too loud. It's a bed sit. You'll worry the neighbours. You know, no man, you have to turn it up. Going and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I got it. So it was. But then one time, Jerry dragged me along to a blues party, where there was these wardrobe-sized speaker cabinets and these very intimidating black guys or whatever. And I was like, well, what's up? But I got it. You know, it is supposed to. You know, it is supposed to be bone-crunchingly loud, and that's how it works. And it's like, yeah, okay, all right. So it was. It wasn't easy, but I got there eventually. So that was So the Special spent a couple of years playing sort of like pubs in Coventry, and then there was this really cool punk band called Squad with this great, very charismatic singer called Terry Hall. So we stole him. Then there was this other the punk band with this kind of rockabilly Johnny Thundersy kind of guitar player, Roddy Radiation. So we stole him as well. So we became sort of like king of the heap in Coventry, basically, because we'd stolen all the good guys from the other bands, and then it just sort of like not exactly snowballed, but sort of rumbled on a bit from there, really.
Incredible. I mean, just hearing, I mean, you know yourself, well, you might not know, Horace, but I think I might have told you when I saw you in Eastbourne, you know, Specials are one of my favourite bands. So to be talking to you about it and listening to the stories, I don't want to talk. I just want to, it's incredible. I mean, let's talk about that debut album. I mean, as far as debut albums go, that is incredible, mate. Um, I mean, I was playing it again last night, and it's just timeless. And that must have been amazing to have brought that out.
Yes, it's difficult to put it. It was difficult at the time to put it into context. You see, we never started to sound like that, and basically until Brad joined. Silverton, who I mentioned earlier, he quit because, as far as he was concerned, we were going nowhere fast by the end of 1978. But then Jerry came along with this Prince Buster, Best of Prince Buster album, and says, "Listen, this is what we should sound like. This is good." And Silverton was like, "Nah, man, old man music. I mean, I'll play old man music." And he thought, right, and we weren't making any money, so he quit. Linval wasn't happy either. It took an awful lot of cajoling from Jerry to get Linval to play old man music. You know, sure, when I played that. And but he did. But then Brad came along, and Brad could play. He didn't have any stuff about playing old man music because it wasn't old man music as far as he was concerned. It was ska, and but he could play rock and roll as well. He could play both styles, and I think that's when we learnt to play ska, when we learnt to play Monkey Man. You're wondering now. That's when we started to sort of go to click, to start to sound really good, because all our old sort of funky reggae songs we played in a ska style. So all our punk rocky songs we played in a ska. So it slowed down the fast ones and sped up the slow ones, and it sort of unified everything. And then we went in and we recorded Gangsters early January 1979, and then that August we were recording that album, that first album. So it took a long time from like 1976 for Jerry to call me up and say I want to form a group, but it from like beginning of January 1979 to the end of January was really quite quick. So the business side of it, the recording side of it was pretty quick, but those songs had been around for a few years, so we were used to them. And then, of course, Neville came on board as well. Neville was on board. I forgot about that. After he didn't join till like after this Clash tour that we did back end of 1978. So but it just sort of burst on at the right time. You know, the Sex Pistols had split up. The Clash had gone off to America, and like championing punk in UK were like the UK Subs and Sham 69 that were a little bit scary to say the least. So we came along wearing suits, you know, because there was there was the mod revival thing, wasn't there? Like the Chords, the Merton Parkers, and all that kind of business. Secret Affair, and you know, and bands like that. So you know, so the fashion stance was kind of already established, and you could buy second-hand tonic suits up Gosford Street, you know, for really cheaply, you know, that were the original. That suit that I'm wearing on the cover of that Specials album cost £6.50. It cost more than that to get it altered so that it fitted me properly, but you know what I mean. So that's So that's what all that was about. But like that album was recorded quite quickly because we knew what we were doing. We'd spent the past sort of 6 months, going around all those little clubs and making sure that it sounded pretty damn good. Yeah.
You mentioned Neville Staple there.
Mm.
What a character he was. Every time, I mean, the amount of times I've seen the specials, he's just. Yeah, I mean, like you all are. You're all having fun on the stage, but he's jumping around and just loving every moment, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Somebody, what was it? One of the I don't know if it was Gary Bushell or whatever said, and Neville had a smile on his face that you couldn't put in a shopping bag or something. But that was but it was amazing. And I think it's the thing that Jerry said one time. He said he has never seen or never felt the atmosphere of an early specials gig, from like 79, where everybody danced, even the bar staff danced. Do you know what I mean? The whole place was just crazy. But the energy was quite something. Yeah, it was fantastic. But it was just in the right place at the right time. That's what I was gonna say in the first place. Punk was kind of dying on its arse a bit, and there was this new thing. I had this. Imagine Christmas 1979, and this 13-year-old kid comes up to his mum and says, "Mum, for Christmas, can I have a suit?" I mean, how wouldn't she be so pleased about that? To have a little boy come. I'd like a suit for Christmas, please, Mum. I thought that was funny.
That's unbelievable. Are you all right for time, by the way?
Yeah,
Horace?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
wanna...
Okay, yeah.
Brilliant. Now there's a picture that I've got downstairs in like one of my rooms where I've got like music memorabilia and that, and it's Madness, Selector, and the Specials,
Yeah.
all on Brighton Beach on the seafront.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
am I right in saying was that the two-tone tour?
Yes.
I think it was, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was the day after the first gig in Brighton. Yeah.
What are your memories of that? How was that?
I was probably a little bit hungover, but the night before I was hanging out with Mike Dempsey, who was the bass player in The Cure.
Brilliant.
We'd done some gigs with The Cure over in Europe over the summer. It was great being on the bill with them because they had an electric guitar tuner and we didn't. So it's like, because we would have to tune up. This was before all this technological stuff. So we had to try and tune up our guitars by ear, which was dreadful. But thank goodness The Cure are here. We can borrow their little box, and we'll be in tune. But I got on quite well with Mike, and he was. We went out to some party after the gig, and he was saying all these people who were at that gig tonight. I saw them, and they were wearing different clothes when The Cure played with Susie and the Banshees there 3 weeks before, which was quite funny. So yeah, it was cool. It was, but that two-tone tour was tremendous. Was really good. That was the defining moment of two-tone, I think. At the end of it, we did 2 nights at Coventry Tiffany's, and I think that was the apogee. That was the high point of that whole thing, because it was like, here's Coventry, big unemployment, all the factories closed down, what a grim, dismal place. But then here comes along this pop group that makes everybody happy, and it was just amazing. It really sort of, like a football team can really affect a town. Yeah, it was a little bit like that with the specials. It was quite amazing.
I think I was born in the wrong era, like in the wrong decade. You know what I mean? Because obviously I read all about it, and that's why I love my music so much. But when you see them 3 bands on a lineup, like that is a dream to be there. Like people who are there don't know how lucky they are because they see him.
It was £2.50 to see the tickets on that.
I tell you, you couldn't even get to a gig for £2.50 these days.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the equivalent is of £2.50 would be nowadays. I'm sure somebody can tell me.
300 quid probably.
Yeah.
But honestly, it just seems like you were having the best time of your life, though, with your friends.
But yes, absolutely, Ben. I mean, this was what I'd always wanted being in a pop group to be like. You know, when I was standing in front of my bedroom mirror with my crappy little acoustic guitar, you know, I mean, hey, one day I'll be, you know, I'll be on top of the pops and be famous. And I was, and it was like, it was incredible. I'm really, really lucky and very privileged to be able to do all that stuff. You know, amazing.
And I mean, the members you had in the band were just characters. Each one of them was a character,
It
weren't
was
they? You know, I mean,
extraordinary. Yeah, yeah, it was very extraordinary. Yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky to have met most of you, to be honest with you, on various gigs. Did a show years ago with Neville, and straight away I just thought, what a character,
Yeah.
absolute character. And then I managed to meet the late great Terry Hall, who was just an absolute gentleman. And you know, to be able to meet him, I mean, what a front man. You
Yeah.
know, what a voice.
He
And
was amazing. Yeah. I always
he's
liked the way that him and Neville were just so totally different, but worked together. You know,
oh,
Terry was like the sort of the calm in the storm, and Neville was like, you know, jumping off speaker boxes and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
and I mean, the song that I want, a standout special song for me that I really think um, shows the strength of Terry is "Do the Dog."
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say that is because the way he's singing it, and it's almost like these days people would say he's like rapping the song so
Yeah.
quick. And I mean, I've seen him perform that many times, no stuttering, nothing. It's just like he knows what he's doing. I mean, I try and do that in karaoke. I can't even get past the first two lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But absolute genius, and what a pleasure it is to, I mean, for you it must have been fantastic to have been in the band and see the reactions of everyone. You mentioned a minute ago about, you know, a gig where everyone is dancing, including the bar staff. Now
Yeah.
that, you must have known you were onto a winner when you got everyone dancing.
Yeah. I think my favourite early specials gig, well, my back in the day specials gig, August 1979. This was before the two-tone tour. This was before we recorded that first album. We signed our record deal, and Chrysalis, the record company, said, let's try these guys in Europe. And we were like, oh, okay. So they sent us out, and we did a festival at Bilzen in Belgium, and it was The Cure, thank goodness, us, the Pretenders, the Police, and AC/DC, right? And nobody in Europe had heard of us, and we were like, I think, third on the bill or something like that. So it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we went on with all this equipment that we, you know, begged, borrowed, and stolen, you know, over the past couple of years, and set it all up. And we went on, and we absolutely destroyed the place. It was incredible. We just went on and bang, and there was this big 12-foot chain link fence about 15 foot from the stage, and it got ripped up, and everyone charged towards the lip of the stage, and nobody had heard us before. Nobody in that field. I think there were a couple of people who'd come from England who knew of us, but nobody in that field had ever heard of us before, and we just took the place and by its throat, and just made it dance. And it was that was the thing that made me think, I think we've got something here. You know, it's like, wow, it was incredible. There's a photo of me. I think, yeah, that's why the NME came to take photos of. There's a photo of me walking off stage, and I swear that my feet are not touching the ground. You know, it was that, you know, it was that sort of a moment. It was really cool. So every other gig after that had to kind of compare to that. That was the sort of the benchmark. I always remember that show as just absolutely incredible, brilliant.
I can only imagine what it was like just to be in there, though, to see that. I mean, as I said many a times, I keep mentioning it, seeing you live, and it's you're always, every single one of you always gives 110%. And I mean, for me, it was a workout as well, especially the last gig I went and saw you. I come off and I was sweating buckets. I thought, I don't need a gym membership. I just need to follow the specials
Welcome
around
to
and
the
watch them live.
Specials weight loss program. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Especially when you brought the DVD out. What was it? It was the anniversary. I think it was filmed in.
Oh,
I
the
can't
one
think.
the one at Wolverhampton.
I think it was.
Is this like the reformed mop or the
No,
original?
this was the original, I
Oh,
think,
Dance
and it
Craze
yeah, and I've
with
got it on the.
Madness and the Beat
I
and
think
Bad Manners and
it was,
yeah,
yes, and
yeah.
I mean, thank God I've got that, because if ever forget about watching Kirsty Gallagher and Mr. Motivator, stick that on and go through that, and I'm happy.
Yeah, no, no,
Have you
it was wonderful.
have you got a favourite song from the specials that you just loved playing?
I really liked International Jet Set from the second album because it was different, and I kind of like that kind of difference. First album, Nightclub, I suppose, because I get to show off and do that, yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, when we reformed and started writing our own stuff, I love playing Vote for Me, because Tim Smart, our trombone player, does this really, really lovely solo. It's like Ghost Town revisited, if you like, for me. Um, but it will kind of vary. I remember I went through a period thinking "It's Up to You" was great. I used to love
Oh,
playing that. But we started playing that when we reformed, but then we didn't. And then yeah, but I suppose Nightclub is probably the one that sort of stayed with me because it's such a great group, and Monkey Man gets every, if all else fails, play Monkey Man. You know what I mean? 'Cause then the whole place goes bonkers, doesn't it?
it's timeless. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose you didn't really have the chance to sort of think about it, but when you were first in the specials, sorry, not when you were first in it, when you were in the specials and you brought out your album, did you ever think, like, in 40 years' time, people would still be listening to this music and it would be like life changing for people?
No, of course not. And but I, and it was weird at the time because all these journalists were going, this is a great socio-political statement you're making here about black people and white people, and it's like, yes, that isn't that obvious, you know what I mean? So I was kind of, I was sort of blasé about all the sort of the stuff that we did, but it's like, well, it's obvious that this is what we're doing because this is what we just because that's how we're doing it. I don't know. I'm not making an enormous amount of sense. There was a lot of sort of stuff that was like stuck onto the band as well. That the all that sort of the Rock Against Racism, the sort of the political kind of stuff that sort of was banged on it as well, which was cool. I mean, the specials eventually sort of just wore themselves out because we did too much too young. Haha. Our, our work schedule was just too hectic, and touring became a real struggle because fans would invade the stage, and a few people on stage at the end is fine, but 200 of Swansea's finest on the sixth song is kind of like, hang on, because then you got to get them off. And then hope that they'll stay off, and then you play another, and then you play Concrete Jungle. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
I
So
think
it
there's,
was a struggle, and something that was amazing and incredible became a chore, and like, oh God, we've got to go out there, and I hope that this was before crash barriers and and bouncers who weren't homicidal maniacs. So it was, yeah, it was difficult. It got to be a struggle towards the end, which is why we didn't tour a great deal in 1981.
you mentioned briefly about the people jumping on the stage and that. Is it Skinhead Moonstump? There's a video of it on YouTube and it is just pure carnage. Terry's getting pushed about. And the one who looks like he's having the most fun is Neville, though. He's laughing. It is just absolute carnage. But
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, I think that just goes to show that you were a band for the people, weren't you? You know,
Exactly. Yeah, that was. I think that was the part. I think Jerry was very much of that opinion. He's like, what these people paid money to come and see us. You know, well, there shouldn't be that gap between the performers and the audience. And well, they won't be able to see us if they don't. But never mind, we'll go on with that. And I think Jerry loved chaos anyway.
oh,
You know, he's like, you know, the more chaotic, the better. He was always the guy who would sort of have all the fans backstage and back at the hotel. And Horace, do you mind if you know, 3 guys from Romford sleep on your hotel floor tonight? You know, thanks, Jerry. Yeah, the fact that I would like to get some sleep, or I might have female company. You know, never mind. Okay, but you know.
listen, great memories though, Horace.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just want to thank you for sharing all that with me, because it's an absolute pleasure for me to listen to it, as I'm sure it is for everyone else who's been logged in live. But I want to ask you, what does the next 12 months hold for you, mate?
Okay, well, I'm currently playing sort of blues rock stuff with 2 guys who I've admired and not worked with before that live locally. Steve Walwyn, as a guitar player, he spent the past 32 years working as the guitar player in Dr. Feelgood. And I've known him for like 40 years, and we would occasionally jam in the back rooms of pubs and stuff. And there's a Coventry drummer called Ted Duggan, who I'd heard of and I'd seen a lot, but I'd never played with. And he's really, really good. So we're all of a certain age, and we play blues and rock and roll, and that's a lot of fun. That's taking up my time. We've been to Woodbine Studios, which is where we recorded Ghost Town. And recorded some stuff which hopefully will be out in the year. I'm also working with a Cajun and Zydeco group. Cajun, Zydeco, it's like the music from Louisiana. It's with a button accordion, pedal, lap steel guitar, or whatever. It's kind of it's blues, it's country, it's rock and roll, it's funk, played all at the same time. It's great fun. I'm doing some work with them. And there's a insane Welsh guitar player called James Oliver, not Jamie Oliver, the chef. This is James Oliver, and he's crazy, and he does like sort of 300 odd gigs a year. So he wears out rhythm sections. So whenever he's in sort of my neck of the woods, I get to play with him. I'm working with him. That's an awful lot of fun. That's kind of like being in the specials, because he plays everything far too fast. And it's great. That's a lot of good. So there's that, and then I'm painting pictures. I recently went over to Los Angeles, where there was a big Terry Hall tribute show, which was hosted by a charity that I'm connected to in Los Angeles. That was amazing. That was really, really good. We had we had Fishbone, the people from No Doubt, and the Boss Tones and the Agrolites playing with us. It was incredible. But then I went off to South Dakota, to this place called Rapid City, which is a bit like Nuneaton but with an airport. And I stayed there for a week and pootled around, took some photographs. So that's for sort of a new load of paintings, which I started this evening. So there's always music to play, there's always pictures to paint, and of course there's always a granddaughter to look after as well. So yeah, life is good.
Good, and long may that continue, my friend. But from me, you know, most, as they always say, good things have to come to an end, and that's us, man. I mean, thank you so much for you know, spending your time with me. It's an honour for me. So thank you, Horace.
That's okay, Ben. I'll put those pictures back now.
Yeah, before you get told off, eh?
Yeah.
Have a lovely evening, and thanks again
Thank you,
for your
Ben.
time. Take
Ta-ra.
care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.